080-22-7997. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
A very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host, Edmond Kizito. On Spectrum tonight, the unending wrangles at KCCA. Is this not likely to curtail service delivery? Ever since the Kampala's Capital City Authority was constituted, numerous personal wrangles and other matters touching on the implementation of policies have been playing out in the public domain. At the center of these wrangles has been the Lord Mayor, Arias Lukwago, and the Executive Director, Jennifer Msesi, who have disagreed on who wields authority to take decisions and have them implemented. The disagreement was triggered off by the handling of the Utoda contract and the removal of street vendors from the city streets. Later, salaries for the Lord Mayor, the Executive Director, and allowances for the councillors became a hot issue. Currently, the battle is over the position of Deputy Lord Mayor. After hours of bickering in a council session, councillors failed to elect a Deputy Lord Mayor before Arias Lukwago finally named Suleiman Sserwadda Kidandala to the post. The Executive Director and some councillors challenged this process, and after Kidandala was sworn in, the ED published a media notice asking the public not to deal with Kidandala, who she says cannot be recognized as Deputy Lord Mayor. Some councillors have also threatened to censure the Lord Mayor over the same. Yesterday, the judiciary joined the fray by announcing that the swearing-in ceremony of Kidandala is null and void on the grounds that the Chief Magistrate of Nakawa, who presided over the function, acted illegally because Kampala Central, where the function was held, falls under this magistrate's jurisdiction. As this drama continues to play out, the people of Kampala are yearning for better services. Major roads in the city are potholed, dust and rubbish still litter the city, and the patience of most residents is apparently stretched. So tonight we ask, has greed and bad politics returned to haunt City Hall? Are these unending wrangles not likely to impact on service delivery? Our guests tonight, Honorable Suleiman Kidandala, KCCA Councillor from Kawempe, also disputed Deputy Lord Mayor. You're most welcome, Honorable Kidandala. You're most welcome, sir.
Thank you, moderator.
We're also joined by Honorable Buruhani Byaruhanga, KCCA Councillor from Kyambogo. You're most welcome, Honorable Byaruhanga.
Thank you, Edmond.
Honorable Kidandala, let's look at this dispute that hangs over your head and your title. The Act, the KCCA Act, says there shall be a Lord Mayor who shall execute duties of the Lord Mayor, and as when the situation requires him to do. But there's also the position of Deputy Lord Mayor. Tell us the legal position of this position.
I don't know exactly what you mean by the legal position of this position. One, I would like to correct the impression that is being created that that position is disputed. There is no dispute on that position. And I would like to, first of all, again reintroduce myself as the Deputy Lord Mayor for the capital city. In terms of legalities, I completely don't know how to explain that. It is whoever thinks that in his own mind he should challenge that position that should explain the illegalities surrounding that dispute, if one thinks it's a dispute. But in my own thinking, in summary, I would probably say that all the relevant steps and the proper procedure was followed by the Lord Mayor. There's some bit of background to this particular issue. I don't know if we can go into that.
Yes, we can.
One, the Deputy Lord Mayor is one single slot, and it must come from the 30 councillors. We are 30, and you can't have 30 people in one office, so there must be one. And before I go into too much debate, what is the hullabaloo about this? Is Suleiman Kidandala Kenyan? Is he a Tanzanian? Is he a Ugandan? 1, 2, is he a councillor? Am I representing a constituency in the capital? Yes. And the act is very clear. The requirements the Deputy Lord Mayor must satisfy to occupy that office is he should be a potential member of parliament, and that's all. And if you want to find out what requirements one should satisfy, you go to the Parliament Elections Act and then find out what requirements should a member of parliament satisfy. And primarily, I think it is the one must have attained at least senior 6 level in his academic career. And if anyone thinks there are any illegalities, the grounds to challenge this should be based on provisions in the law. Well, briefly, when we were sowing on the 20th of May, usually the normal practice was that immediately after the swearing in, the road mayor would have gone ahead to announce his deputy in 1 or 2 days. While the mayor delayed to do so, even when actually the act itself is silent on that, it does not give any time limit within which he should have appointed. Somehow, informally, together with all the councillors, there was some kind of agreement that let us watch each other, bearing in mind that this position was going to replace, in the old arrangement of KCC, there were 6 ministers and 2 other officers, the speaker and the deputy speaker. In the absence of those 8 officers being replaced by only 2, the Lord Mayor and the Deputy Lord Mayor, yes, there was a very heavy burden on those 2 officers. So whoever was going to occupy that office as the Deputy Lord Mayor, it required someone with some really good administrative skills, yes, some capability and capacities to at least try to cover up the gap left by the other officers that was scrapped. Yes. So there was some kind of informal agreement between us, the councillors, and maybe even the Lord Mayor, that let us take time to study each councillor for some time. That's why the Lord Mayor took a long time. That's why the Lord Mayor did not rush to appoint his deputy. So for that 6 months or so, we were given different assignments and different responsibilities, and the major intention was to see who does it better, so who can occupy this office. Right. So I think that's the background I can give. Okay. So until when that very day, when the road mayor called that meeting, that ordinary council meeting, and on the agenda, on the order paper, it was very clear that the issue of the deputy road mayor was supposed to be addressed that very day. So he came to the house and announced as an item on the order paper, today I must appoint the deputy. Right. So we can pick it from there. Okay, so technically you qualified, and you think the right procedures were followed? Definitely, yes. All right, Honorable Byaruhanga, talk to us about this level. Why are we seeing it? What is the genesis of it?
Well, thank you very much, Brother Edmond, about the topic for tonight. First of all, I would like to correct an impression which has been created among the public that probably there was an informal agreement between the councillors and the road mayor that let us watch each other. That wasn't the case. We had expected actually this position to have been filled as soon as we were sworn in, which matter was not addressed by the Lord Mayor himself, and created a lot of anxiety among the fellow councillors that we've been serving together with. We look at Section 9, Subsection 3 of the Kampala Capital City Act. It states that the Deputy Lord Mayor shall be appointed from among the members of the authority by the Lord Mayor, which duty the Lord Mayor fulfilled. But the same section continues that with the approval of the authority, the approval was not done. And this is where we are challenging the position of the Deputy Lord Mayor. We are not challenging the individual who has been appointed, but the procedure and manner in which it was being conducted. When the Lord Mayor mentioned, actually, at the beginning of the meeting of the 20th, sorry, it was the 19th day that we were supposed to have the Deputy Lord Mayor being appointed. The Lord Mayor had wanted to mislead that meeting by mentioning 2 names. That is Honorable Suleiman Kidandala and Honorable Bernard Liga of Makerere. Then one fellow councillor had to stand up and give actually he gave a point of guidance to the Lord Mayor. As a lawyer, he must follow the law. So he had to, actually wanted us to participate, but it was not our mandate, it was not legally upon us to vote on who should be the deputy Lord Mayor.
Yes.
So, after putting him to task that out of the two names,
He had to choose one.
he chooses one. Then after choosing one name, we will see if this person who has been chosen
It's good enough.
is good enough to be approved.
Yes.
Unfortunately, when a larger section of the councillors, actually one of the councillors first rose a point of objection,
Yes.
and the Lord Mayor's attention had been put on the side of the that was in support of the person who had been appointed,
Yes.
who were the minority. Realizing that the point of objection was not being listened to and attended to, then the larger section of the councillors had to stand up, raise a point of objection together. When they were not listened to, they marched out.
Let's get it. This man gave you a chance. He said, "You are councillors, I respect you.
Yes.
Give me these are the two men I think." You could have taken either of them, or you could have said, "We don't see a good one there. Let's pick somebody else."
Now, we did not want to have our hands tied.
What do you mean? The man gives you in good faith. He's not legally binding, but he says, "Let's talk about this."
Section 9, subsection 3 clearly indicates that the Lord Mayor shall appoint,
Yes.
and that was what it required him to do, not nominate two names from whom they will be voted or
That does not mean he
against.
cannot consult. He was consulting, basically.
Well, the consultations could have been done outside the authority meeting, but not in the
Not
authority
inside the
meeting.
meeting. Let's talk about the act itself. What does it say?
The Act, I will read again verbatim.
Yes.
Section 9, subsection 3. The Deputy Lord Mayor shall be appointed from among the members of the authority by the Lord Mayor with the approval of the authority.
Yes.
The approval was not duly done.
And why didn't you approve him? He's not qualified or what?
Edison, one thing I will say to you is
You can
that
call me Edmond. Which
Edmond.
Yes.
Sorry about the mistake. Edmond, it may not be my right to mention that Honorable Suleiman Kidandala, for this reason or that, does not qualify to become the Deputy Lord Mayor at this moment.
Why?
I have not looked at his qualifications.
Oh, you think so?
That is it.
Could he have been appointed? Could he have been elected without?
Yes, once he has said that he qualifies to be a member of parliament,
Yes.
anyone can say that.
Well, but you can't get voted in potentially without qualifying.
The law states that someone must be.
Talk to us about that. Defend yourself.
There's nothing to defend about here. Let me first remind my colleague of one thing. It seems he derives a lot of authority from Section 9.
Subsection 3.
Subsection 3. But I would like to remind him that when we joined the authority,
Yes.
a team, which I also think he belongs to, seated before the President of the Republic of Uganda, carried out elections amongst themselves, and the President was the returning officer, and they were trying to arrive at who is their candidate for the Deputy Lord Mayor.
Yes, what happened?
So I don't know whether at that moment they hadn't read the law very well to know that the appointing authority is the other side and not with the President. So in that meeting, what happened is that one of the...
Where was that meeting and when did it take place? Who attended it?
It was I don't belong to the team, so I was.
Well, but you're reporting about that meeting. Give us details.
I'm simply saying he knows. Maybe he may clarify or he may deny.
Well, you brought it up.
But the meeting, no, it's not a secret. It has always been.
Right,
we have even debated it in public. So I'm simply trying to say what I'm saying is that
Maybe Edmond.
no.
Let him conclude.
Let me conclude this.
Go on.
So I know. My colleague is an independent candidate, but on reaching the authority, he decided to work with the NRM camp, which is very okay. I don't have any problem with. So, before the President, elections were carried out, and then they had their candidate for Deputy Lord Mayor.
Who was that?
She's a councillor from Kawempe.
What's her name?
Her name is Madina Seroko, who won.
Yes.
And there are even others who lost. One from Nakawa lost, one from Makinde also lost, and another one from Lubaga. So immediately after, the person who had been elected the next day marched to the Lord Mayor's office and asked him, please, can I begin discharging my duties as the Deputy Lord Mayor?
That's the lady.
So the Lord Mayor asked her,
Edmond.
The Lord Mayor asked her,
go on.
what's wrong with this?
She knocked on the door.
Yes, I'm here to be shown what duties I need to begin discharging. So why I'm saying this is that I wouldn't like my colleague and my very close friend Buruhani to really put too much emphasis on the act at this particular time. Yet previously they didn't even think of it. So the point is, there's this kind of thinking that a particular group in that building must produce the Deputy Lord Mayor.
Well, the NRM has the majority.
That is very right, they have the majority. But I have kept on asking them, can you cite that in the law?
All right.
If it appears anywhere in the law,
then we could
that the Deputy Lord Mayor will be chosen from the majority of the councillors,
which it doesn't.
Then definitely that meeting before the president would have been legitimized and would have given us the Lord Mayor.
The woman would have.
And in just 1 second, let me simply clarify on this what my colleague says. On that very day of that meeting, the Lord Mayor presented 2 names. That is very okay. But he was simply courteous enough and told us, I would like this exercise to be participatory. The Deputy Lord Mayor is going to be working with you, and he is your leader. And you are going to be his subordinates working with him. So it would be very, very appropriate if you can have someone you have at least some connection and some understanding with. That's how it came up. So he told, can you also participate in choosing from these 2 names?
Yes.
Inadvertently, they had approved by the 2 names. Even the Lord Mayor proceeded to ask.
How did they approve those 2 names? In that same
Even the Lord Mayor proceeded to ask, do you have any problem with these 2 names? And on the floor they said, no, we don't have any reason or anything against those 2, but go ahead and fulfill your constitutional obligation under the act choosing one.
Yes.
Inadvertently, the 2 names had fulfilled all the obligations and the requirements to become potential Lord Mayor. So the question was, the Lord Mayor, please go ahead and choose one.
Right.
Actually, even still on the floor, the councillors argued that if we go ahead to carry out an election between those 2, we shall end up getting divided as council. Yet we have been very close and good friends.
Okay.
So what we think is, in order not to have us divided, please, Lord Mayor, choose one of those and we shall go with him as the deputy.
Oh, yes. Edmond, first of all, I wouldn't like the public to perceive that there are councillors who are power hungry at the authority. And it is not anywhere on record that the councillors belonging to the NRM caucus, to which I have not attended, but I have not seen it on record that they have ever had a meeting with the president as a presiding officer and voted for their deputy, Lord Mayor. Secondly, we shouldn't act as if we've not gone to school to differentiate between what is good and what is not good. If you look at the first schedule, section 2 of the fourth schedule, subsection 2.
That's about the quorum.
Yes, it is about the quorum, but subsection says that all decisions that they meet at a meeting of the authority shall be by a majority of the votes of the members present and voting. And in case of equality of votes, the person presiding at the meeting shall have a casting vote in addition to his or her deliberative vote.
Right.
When we look at the manner in which the position of the deputy Lord Mayor was handled, we had 2 motions on the floor, which meant that we had to vote on one of the motions.
Yes.
Which the Lord Mayor asked the honorable councillors, and those who are in favor of voting and those who are not in favor of voting.
Yes.
And those who are not in favor of voting said, go ahead and fulfill your mandatory right of appointing. Thereafter, we shall fulfill ours. It is not anywhere, not even in the minutes of the authority meeting that sat on that day, that the deputy Lord Mayor was approved before being appointed. That cannot happen.
But what's wrong with this man? Why don't you want him for mayor? Who do you want? The woman?
Edmond, I said it in the beginning that my position here is not that I'm against the candidate for this position.
Yes.
I'm after the process. The law must be followed. You see,
well, but you put this man in a dilemma. He gives you two names. He says choose. You say we won't choose, and then when he chooses, you begin to.
You see, we did not simply refuse, but we are going to put him in order. We respect the Lord Mayor as a land fellow, as a lawyer.
Yes.
But when he brought two names before us, and the law states clearly that he must appoint and not present nominations of the members.
That was a pedantic thing. You're simply looking at the letter of the law, not necessarily the spirit of the law, the intention of that letter.
You see, they say that ignorance of the law is not defense. Is not defense.
Yes.
If we show that we are ignorant of what the law provides for, and at the end of the day, someone has been voted as the deputy Lord Mayor.
Yes.
Any citizen from Kampala can come and challenge. We want the authority to serve the people of Kampala.
Yes.
So if you go into battling wars in court, you're going to waste a lot of time instead of sitting and deliberating on issues pertaining to the people who voted for you.
But this man, the Lord Mayor, gave you a chance to choose. You refuse to choose. He goes ahead and chooses, and then you begin to fight him.
We did not fight him. We did not fight him. The issue was there was a point of objection on the floor. When a point of objection was raised, he did not take time to listen to what a colleague who had raised the point of objection was saying.
All right. Well, we might not be able to have the video clips of that.
Can I simply I wouldn't like to reduce this kind of a debate to an exchange. It doesn't help the listeners, and it doesn't help the public. But still, we don't have to leave out certain facts. One, I would like to educate my brother that any meeting is presumed to have quorum. As long as it started with quorum, it is presumed to have quorum till when it adjourns.
Even if there are only two people.
Until that point,
yes.
When one of the members in that meeting raises his or her hand and informs the chair that we have lost quorum.
Yes.
I don't remember anything of that kind.
Yes.
That quorum was lost.
Okay.
No, actually,
that's a good point.
Actually, let me further qualify my we had an order paper and we had a number of items to discuss on that day. The meeting did not adjourn simply because of quorum, but the Lord Mayor says there were simply some movements in the house. Actually, he said now, after having completed this matter, we cannot move to the next one.
Because there's no quorum as you open it.
So, no, let me explain.
Yes.
After after the Lord Mayor after we had finished with the process of appointing the deputy Lord Mayor, it is true some members marched out.
Right.
So the argument that there was no quorum could be valid, fine, but that argument affected the next item on the order paper.
Not the one.
Not the item that was leaving the floor.
Right.
May I just chip in on that point? Yes. My brother wants the public to perceive that there was quorum and he was approved, which was not the case.
There was no quorum.
There was no
it's
quorum.
one man's word.
Yes, true. Even if there was someone who had chance to raise the point that there is no quorum, it wouldn't have been possible, because even the Lord Mayor, in his own wise knowledge, he marched out without adjourning the meeting to any other date. And the mess that really shows which is symbolic of the authority that the Lord Mayor wields, followed him and got him in. Yes, the mess. Yes. That is if you looked at Parliament, the mess which
I know about the mess.
Yes, it followed the office at arms. How to follow the Lord
so
Mayor?
The was technically not there.
Yes. So you cannot say at this meeting there was no quorum. No one was there to raise the point. I can't raise the point of there is no quorum.
No, there's no chair.
When there's no chair.
All right. Talk to us about this position. How special is it? Is it the money that's or the robes? Why is it such a hot thing?
One, we all know. All the 30 councillors who are there know that there will only be one deputy Lord Mayor. That one very much we are all aware.
Yes.
Now, if you look at the various scenarios along this position, we thought we have come for service delivery. And as soon as it is settled, we should serve the people of Kampala.
Yes.
But in the events that have gone through up to today, people have gone into politics.
Right.
They have begun politicking to the effect that a president general of a particular party has to go in and intervene, trying to protect two things: the name of a fellow NEC member and the name of the party.
All right.
That's the far it has gone.
Okay.
Meaning that much as we want service delivery, some members are still politicking, yet the time for politicking
It's
ended.
supposed to have ended. Well,
Yes, and two, there is also a perception that people have come thinking that probably they will be given a lot of authority or they have power, which they must be given. I don't know that we need to be nailed before two in order to show that we have power, but I personally believe as a leader, we derive power from the way we execute our duties.
listeners, this is Spectrum on Radio 1. Tonight, the unending wrangles at KCCA. Is this not likely to curtail service delivery? Our guest tonight, Honorable Suleiman Kidandala, KCCA Councillor from Kawempe, also Deputy Lord Mayor, even though disputed, and Honorable Byaruhanga, KCCA Councillor from Kyambogo. We're going for a break. When we come back, we look at certain issues. Some of the fights between the ED and the Lord Mayor. How is this not affecting service delivery? We'll be back to stay tuned.
Excuse me, would you like to hear about the M10 Pilipili? It has a really long battery life.
That's hot.
And it has an amazing built-in FM radio.
That's hot.
And we're never in the dark because it has a great torch.
That's really hot.
And it's only 39,500 shillings.
That's hot too.
And she'll give me your phone number because I'm really cool.
That's hot. Wait, what?
Hey, get the hot MTN Pilipili mobile phone at MTN service centers and select dealer shops.
MTN. Everywhere you go.
Just like an uncut diamond is brought to life by unmatched skill and dedication, only our brewmaster holds the secret to crafting a crystal malt lager. Under the exacting international standards at Nile Breweries, he uses only the finest, most carefully selected grains of roasted crystal malt and sets in motion the delicate process of releasing their full roast. The result is a world-class beer with a fresher aroma, a richer golden color, and a maltier taste.
Nile Gold Crystal Malt Lager. Beyond an ordinary malt.
Not for sale to persons under 18.
Let the sunlight in.
Good morning, sunshine of my life. You look happy today.
I am. I came in here and I saw there was a whole pile of washing to do.
But I thought you didn't like doing the washing.
No, I love it. Anything else you need washed?
Sunlight 2-in-1 with added fabric softener. Smells so good, you want to use it again and again.
Let the sunlight in.
Sunlight 2-in-1. Sunlight clean, sunlight fresh.
Sunlight in. Happiness is all around. Let the sunlight in.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90 is brought to you by Stanbic Bank.
Welcome back on Spectrum tonight. The unending wrangles at KCCA. Is this not likely to curtail service delivery? Our guests, Honorable Suleiman Kidandala, KCCA Councillor from Kawempe, also Deputy Lord Mayor, even though disputed, and Honorable Byaruhanga Mugisha, KCCA Councillor from Kyambogo. You'll also be able to contribute to this discussion, dear listeners. Honorable Kidandala, let's look at the public notice last week by the ED saying in the newspapers, you caused the publication of your photograph and the notice warning people to stay away from you, saying that you're not recognized. So this is to inform the general public that the councillor whose photograph appears herein above was appointed by the Lord Mayor but not duly approved by the authority. Are we going to like to see you being arrested maybe because of this kind of thing? You're there illegally.
Actually, that notice came out, I think it was on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday or Wednesday?
Last week, I think.
And on Thursday, we had some function, an official function at Stay Hall. And at that very same function, I was there as the Deputy Lord Mayor. The Mayor was there, the Lord Mayor. The Executive Director was also there. In her notice to the public, she purported to bar the person of Suleiman Kidandala from holding out as the Deputy Lord Mayor. But on that very same function where we were, I was referred to by that very honorable title in her presence, and I don't remember anyone coming out to throw me out of the function.
What was this function again?
It was, I think, their Christmas carols, and it's quite official, the City Hall, where we kind of wind up with the year.
And she was there?
And she was there.
You were introduced?
I was introduced. In any case, after her speech, I came in as the Deputy Mayor.
Were you wearing your robes?
To invite the Lord Mayor.
Did you wear your robes that day?
I was not wearing the robes, but the titles speak more than...
and she didn't complain about it?
And she didn't complain.
She didn't walk away?
She didn't walk away. So I kept on wondering, was she really serious with her notices in the papers? Because issuing a notice and take it to the New Vision and then pay is a very easy part. I would have expected her to walk away from a function where I was, and in that function I attended in my capacity.
After the notice, and she didn't do anything.
And she didn't do anything.
So maybe she changed her mind after the notice.
I can't tell, but still, actually, that very notice, I looked at it and then meditated, and I personally, I arrived at some conclusion and a very strong conviction at a personal level.
Yes.
That I really doubt her administrative skills and her capacity to run the institution.
You think we should have another person?
Edmond, if there's a simple controversy, a simple administrative misunderstanding, I don't think it warrants running a public notice. First of all, you are dealing with someone who is in the very same building. I'm occupying an office from within.
Maybe sharing.
She has never attempted to write to me. She has never even invited me to discuss this matter. And all I see the next day is a notice in the public. So I really wondered whether that's how decisions are taken in that building.
Right. I
really wondered whether that's how she does her work.
What are you going to do? Some people say thought you're going to go to court over that.
Definitely, I'll somehow instill some sense of understanding using some other means that can probably help me do that. But nevertheless,
will you go to court over it?
I'll definitely do that. But nevertheless, I really wondered what because running public notices in some countries has been now characterized as some kind of uncivilized behavior.
Yes.
Actually, it has been outdated in some areas in this world. And I completely, as somebody who's exposed, someone who has really traveled, someone who has really taken part in a number of administrative positions in this country and even abroad, it could have been quite wiser to think of another alternative to address this particular issue rather than running to the ground she gave one ground. That's, I remember she was talking to some journalists that I had been contacted by a number of people, including embassies, including all various stakeholders in this country, and she wanted to make a clarification. So I asked her, do you think the Embassy of America simply gave you a call to make a clarification, and in reply to an embassy, you put a notice in the papers?
Brian, some people think people are getting petty. Instead of tackling service delivery, you're fighting over tiny things.
Yes, Edmond, this issue is really, it may look as if it's a simple matter to some people, but to the people of Kampala, it is a very big issue.
What is it? People want portals filled, sound, noise.
Firstly, as a leader,
you're arguing it's a wedding, what color of the cake,
it
what
is
color of the icing.
true.
It really is not of
as a leader,
this man is qualified.
He's qualified, yes. But as I mentioned earlier on, the procedure wasn't followed.
Well,
this was echoed in a letter which was written by the Edith, the Lord Mayor.
So you could spend 5 years arguing over the procedure. You're ready to do that?
If the Lord Mayor decides so, if you receive a communication from the executive director, you don't respond to what it is saying. You receive a communication from the minister in charge of Kampala.
We don't know the minister.
By then there was.
The one who was there, she was
by then there was a minister.
There was a minister
at that time. whose powers are derived from the act that governs Kampala, that she has got the authority to rescind, vary and veto any decision taken by the authority and the Lord Mayor. This was written to the Lord Mayor and did not even make any move to respond to what it was saying, and it involved legal implications.
You can rescind direction that don't agree.
And then, and thirdly, you find that the members with whom the Lord Mayor is supposed to head the authority also had to write to him, petitioning, actually we gave him a copy of this petition, advising the ED that should she go ahead and accept the swearing-in ceremony of a candidate who has not approved, she will be making a mistake. The ED is a learned friend, a learned fellow, not a friend, who knows the law. She went ahead and cited the act as it says, and she had to act accordingly.
Right.
Now, if you look at a person with whom the Kampalans had a lot of hope as their Lord Mayor,
yes,
whom they expected service delivery as they had promised,
yes,
when he came with his three main, actually, when you look at, he had three main issues on his agenda. One, Utoda. Two, the former mayor Sserwadda be chased out of the house. Three, you chase out Nyofuza in the house, which things we brought to the council and we passed resolutions. When that ended, I don't think the Lord Mayor has ever made anything that is in the interest of people of Kampala.
This is Spectrum on Radio, and tonight the unending round goes at KCCA. It is not likely to curtail service delivery. Honorable Kidandala, the judiciary yesterday, in a way backed the executive director, but specifically on the way you were sworn in. They say that you are sworn in by magistrate from Nakawa and yet in Kampala Central. What is going to happen there?
First of all, let me first inform the listeners that my colleague and a friend, Buruhani, who is here with me, was at some point a potential candidate for this post and was a front runner.
So I
don't know.
Everybody in the authority qualifies.
I don't know. I don't know whether really he's speaking his conscience, because his statements a few months back were different. But nevertheless, on the issue of the judiciary, I would like to clarify as follows. One, there was some, I think the media ran some message from Mr. Kisauzi,
Elias Kisauzi, judiciary spokesperson.
The spokesperson. And just like the letter from the minister, when the minister wrote to me instructing me to vacate office, it had major contradictions.
Yes.
I didn't, I chose not to reply, but when we were at one of the meetings in Kampala at Protea, which meeting she stormed out after I had really challenged her to the floor over matters concerning KCCA, I even examined her letter very well.
Yes.
And even the audience there really castigated her and told her you could not write such a letter as a minister. The same thing happens now. Mr. Kisauzi comes out very boldly and openly to inform the general public that a chief magistrate from Nakawa could not come to State Hall to commission an oath.
Yes.
And the question is, one, the chief magistrate,
yes,
Mr. Sserwadda, did not come to State Hall in his capacity as a chief magistrate.
Yes.
But the act, the Commissioners Act, is very clear,
yes,
that when one becomes a magistrate, you automatically become a commissioner for oath.
Yes.
And the Commissioners Act is very clear that they have wide powers. Right. You can commission an oath anywhere in the state, even in Leda. So, Mr. Sserwadda, His Worship, Mr. Sserwadda, His Worship, is a commissioner for oaths, and there is no way a commissioner for oaths can first seek permission to commission an oath anywhere in this country. I've never seen that.
But Mr. says, whereas every magistrate has authority to administer any lawful oath, the exercise of such function is limited to his or her particular magisterial area.
That is confusing. You are confusing the magisterial position as a magistrate and commissioner for oath. That is a major contradiction. And even he came as a commissioner for oaths, not as a magistrate.
All right.
And I think I can ably shoot down Mr. Kisau's argument too. Even when
I think you've explained it very clearly.
Even when Mr. Sserwadda performed an activity or a function in his capacity as a magistrate, he was handling an issue to do with the Lord Mayor or Deputy Lord Mayor.
Yes.
And the Lord Mayor, including the Deputy Lord Mayor, our area of jurisdiction is the entire Kampala capital, including Makawa, where he comes from.
All right. Talk to us about the censure process. We understand that you're planning to remove Arius Lukwago from office over this matter. What is the big quarter there?
Thank you, Edmond. When we look at our Act for Kampala,
yes,
it provides a lot of functions to the Lord Mayor and also to the authority of whose composition has the Lord Mayor and the councillors.
Yes.
Our duties, among them, we have to offer good service delivery to the people. And we can only do this through having authority meetings.
Yes. In
which meetings we examine, we look at the areas that we are representing, the pertinent issues affecting the people of Kampala. If, as of now, when you speak, you will find almost 90% of the roads of Kampala are potholed, including the feeder roads. If you look at the health sector,
but it is roundabouts instead of filling potholes.
No, when you look at that, it's not the authorities. It is not the authority that has authorized the roundabouts to be done.
Yes.
This is something which had already been sanctioned by the old regime. As the authority which is in the seat right now, our chairperson, who is the Lord Mayor, has not convened a meeting in which resolutions are supposed to be made to have the people of Kampala saved from the so many floods that are taking their lives.
Well, but the executive director is doing roundabouts.
The executive director has tried to look for what we have given her to do. She has that has simply resorted to what had been passed earlier and had not been done.
Well, but some of the things we've disagreed with them. They were all from the older regimes, like the house that was given to a certain minister.
Yes.
Appointed, and you took it away. Why do you selectively choose what you know?
The house had been given away to actually there were two which had been given away. They had not followed the law. If they had followed the law, they would have been.
You accept the roundabouts, forget about the potholes, do the roundabouts because it came from the old regime. That's selective justice.
It is selective, but now if a chairperson is failing, actually you have said the speaker.
Well, it leaves a lot of shadows, Honorable.
The speaker, it is the mandate
about the judgment of you people who are in that place
yes,
right now.
I'll accept whatever the problem that we have, but it is derived from the speaker of the meetings that
you're
are
looking for
supposed.
Technicalities. Speaker this section that potholes don't need those kind of details. You need just do the job.
Edmond,
arguing about that.
Edmond, when you look at the work that is supposed to be done in Kampala, the executive director cannot go and spend taxpayers' money
on potholes.
Not on potholes.
She can do round
on an area which she has not been authorized to do. You see that?
I disagree with that. Just in 1 second.
This is Spectrum on Radio 1. You can call in now. Our number 0414 348 111 0312 260 390 0312 261 390. When you call in, please tell us your name and where you're calling from. Spectrum, hello? Yes, sir, your name?
Edmond, good evening.
Good evening.
This is Sam of Amuria.
Sam.
Now, Edmond, I think it's really very unfortunate. I've now come to believe that I think honorable councillors are just mere puppets. How on earth can a deputy Lord Mayor accuse the executive director appointed by the person of the president as incompetent, which he had to speak. To use to measure the competency of now. The other issue is, of course, everybody knows that opposition has run down Kampala for the last 10 years, and if there is a strong opposition to the appointment of Kidandala, if he was appointed illegally, now why can't the minister rescind, his appointment by the mayor?
Okay. Spectrum, hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir, your name?
This is David from Mitiano.
Yes, Mitiano, yes. Yes, sir, you're welcome.
Now, myself, I'm saying that the other woman, Miss E.D., is very arrogant because there is no way Mr. Kidandala was appointed legally. So he should go on with his work.
Thank you, all the way from Spectrum. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, your name?
Such Ambrose Kenya is my name.
Yes.
Mine goes to the deputy Lord Mayor. Sincerely speaking, me as a journalist, I know what it means getting publicized or published within the maybe any gazette. So if at all you don't do anything, I don't think that at any time you get down to the people seeking for any leadership post, you will maybe value somebody who can as well lead any given community. So do you think, or can you assure the listeners that you are going to do something and give us the duration?
Spectrum, hello.
Hello.
Yes, your name?
Thank you for asking the deputy mayor.
Come again?
I am AM as usual, but I would just advise him and his boss, they should accept what's coming from our justice, because Mr. Sawuli, you know, is a very intelligent person and he represents a very big institution like judiciary. So, going
we lost you there. Spectrum, hello.
Hello, Edmond.
Yes, your name, sir?
My name is Martin. I would like to make a comment or a submission. My submission is that I think these councillors should settle down and begin to work. We have heard already that there are so many things that are pending, and they are only basing their arguments on this Lord Mayor. A deputy Lord Mayor should not be in office. We should get out of office. Why don't they? This is a simple thing in our eyes. Let them settle down and begin to do business.
Spectrum, hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir, your name?
Yes, good evening, sir.
Good evening to you. Your name?
How are you, Edmond?
I'm fine, thank you. Your name?
My name is Del Gracious Jambo.
Yes, Del.
I'm calling from Machinda and I'm a former chairman of RC3 Machinda Division. My request is to make some response to some of the points which have been raised there. But for the benefit of the whole of Kampala people, I would like to make some clarifications in Uganda. I don't know whether it is granted.
Go on, very briefly.
Hello?
Very briefly, sir, go on.
One thing I want to put clear. There's a gentleman, a friend of mine was just called in there, Gambia. The opposition has run down Kampala. It is self-explanatory that the best Kampala we have had in the last few years was when Suleiman Kizito ye mayor wa Kampala. Ensonga eyokubiri, njagala okutegeeza ba councillors balekerawo okulwana, ekibalwanyisa si kirala kyokka ssente. Waliwo omukulu gw'empulidde ng'agamba nti Kampala Capital Authority tetuula kuyisa biteeso. How can we sit nga muli mu kulwanya mayor? One time unasanga ba councillors yembaga nti Lord Mayor ye speaker w'olukiiko lwammwe era mu mateeka gafuka authorities ezi local council authorities ye chairman wa business committee. But how can you sit without his authority? Ne bagamba nti tabalinaako buyinza. Ensonga endala mpozi njagala okusaba nti nandisabye executive director. The fact is twali tulina hope nene nnyo mu ye ffe ng'abaliko abakulembeze abaali balina ensonga bwe yajja abatembeeyi ku kkubo n'atusuubiza okukola ebinnya n'okukola ebirala. Naye okujjako okujja abatembeeyi ku kkubo oluvannyuma kitwasuula ndi baakizuula nti kyali security threat. Kampala is far worse off than when they found it. Era nzije ne neewuunya abantu abagamba bu Kampala kati alabika bulungi nnyo when Kampala is full of potholes.
All right. Our final caller. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, your name?
I'm Sonyimba David.
David, yes.
From Lubumba.
David,
those who say that the deputy mayor was illegally elected, why doesn't he take him to the court? Yes.
Okay, let's get right back here. Honorable Kidandala.
I think there's to begin with David one, there's this question. If anyone thinks he's aggrieved in this matter, if anyone is dissatisfied, there are clearly and properly well laid down channels as to how we can settle this dispute. And he has asked one question, the last caller, why not go to court? That one maybe will be answered by those who think they have. For the Gracious, the former chairperson Matindye, he was basically making his submission, and with those were points taken. Martin said Councillor should settle and do work. Actually, I would like to convince Martin that me and the Lord Mayor, we are already on our path of settling in our offices to make sure that we discharge our duties as required by the law. But it is this the infighting and those who think one should be pulled out of the office that is holding us back from discharging our duties. And then I would like to thank most of the callers who think that this debate is unnecessary and is simply diversionary and derailing us from the real requirements we are supposed to be fulfilling in this city. One was saying we should respect Mr. Kisauzi as a lawyer, but then even in that letter, his letter, you have seen a major contradiction. He's saying the chief magistrate could not have come from Nakawa to
outside of his magistrate
Seoul, and in the same letter he says, as much as the commissioner for oath he has wide powers all over the country, so that is a major contradiction. But then I would like to convince Bukenya and the rest that Church Ambrose, we are ready to work. The Lord Mayor has a very rich manifesto for this city. Let us settle down and let us discharge our duties as expected leaders in this regime.
Buruhani.
Yes.
Go on.
I would like to thank the concerned citizens from within Kampala and outside, those who have aired their views. But I think the major outcry from the public is we need to settle down and work. And this is what we are telling the Lord Mayor. Let him get his house to order. As a land person, as an experienced leader.
Who should he appoint? Give him some wisdom.
Well,
just one name only.
I would be going against the law if I told him let him appoint so and so. That is his prerogative.
You tie a man's hand behind his back and tell him dance. That's what.
But what I will say to him is that let him respect the decision which was made by the Kampalans. The people of Kampala went to the elections and voted. There are 6 members of DP, 5 members who are independent, 2 FDC, and 18 NRM. When you add the independents, they become 20.
And ignores 18.
The members of the Kampala members having elected majority members coming from the NRM party, it sends a very clear message to the Lord Mayor as to who his deputy should be.
So he should get an NRM.
If he thinks about it wisely.
Well, if you give him wisdom, what will you tell him? To get an NRM.
Let him respect the choice of the Kampala people.
So he should have a woman deputy mayor.
I'm gender sensitive. I'm gender sensitive. So if he gave a woman for a deputy,
you would accept that?
I would accept it.
And if it's from the NRM, that would work for you?
I have no problem. Anybody.
All right.
For as long as it qualifies.
We have to go. Thank you very much indeed. Yes?
Actually, I would like to very much appreciate the advice given by my colleague Councillor. Let us respect the people of Kampala, because the people of Kampala decided to vote for Honorable Elias Lukwago as the Lord Mayor, and he has taken a decision to appoint his deputy, and I would like to amplify his message. Let us respect the people who voted Honorable Elias Lukwago, who has also appointed his deputy Lord Mayor. I thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Didier. Is the city better off or worse off?
Going back to what we are experiencing right now, the city is worse off.
Because
to be objective and very sincere.
But you're still doing the roundabouts. Well, we have to go. Thank you very much, dear guests. The unending wrangles at KCCA, that was our topic tonight. Is it not likely to curtail service delivery? Our guest tonight, I must thank you, Honorable Suleiman Kidandala, KCCA Councillor from Kawempe, also Deputy Lord Mayor, and Honorable Byaruhanga, KCCA Councillor from Kyambogo. Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond Kizito. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Up next is the news in English. To stay tuned.
Christmas is full of great offers. Check out this.
Wow! Would you just look at this cool phone?
Wait. How about these amazing computers?
I think the modems are even more exciting.
Guys, stop just staring at the poster and get to any orange